Hey Kylie, I thought Games Unlimited didn't really do CCGs. What's the deal with Altered?
Ah, well, we've dipped our toes into CCGs from now and then when we think it's something our customers might like. Altered is something that Junior is a big fan of. He kind of turned me on to the game. But it doesn't, while it is a collectible card game, it doesn't do a lot of things that most of them do. In particular, it's not a combative game. It's actually a game of exploration. So characters don't even have hit points or anything. You're not attacking each other. You're playing your troops out, your units, to explore. And it's also not a zero-sum game. So like you're putting your troops out there. Yes, I want to beat my opponent on a certain statistic, but they could beat me on a different statistic and we could both advance that turn. So why don't you go ahead and have a seat and I can show you what this game is about. So this is Altered. Now, unlike most collectible card games, this is not a combative game. You're not attacking the other player. Even something like Lorcana, which is not about attacking, it's about questing, characters still have hit points, you're still going out and attacking each other. Characters in this game have no hit points. It is a game of exploration, literally. To win the game, you have a hero on one side, a companion on the other of this track, and you are trying to explore into the center. Once your hero and companion meet, you win the game. They don't have to meet at the center. They can meet at either side. You can really just push your companion as far all the way to the end if you want. Doesn't matter. The way you're going to do that is your cards have stats on them that are their exploration strength in different types of terrain. There are 3 types of terrain. There's woods, there's mountains, and there's water. So at the end of each round, after both players have played their characters, you're going to look on your hero side. Do you have more of the stat that you need to move up in that area than your opponent does, right? So if at the very beginning area, all 3 types of terrain are valid, which means all you need is any one of those types of terrain to have more than your opponent. So if you're in an area that only uses woodland, you have to be beating your opponent on woodland. What that means is it's not a zero-sum game. Both players can actually move up. If all 3 stats are valid and I'm beating you on water, but you're beating me on mountains, we're both going to move up. So things are going to change as you go along. You actually don't know what types of terrain are going to be necessary until someone moves into the next card and you get a glimpse of what's going on. But if both players' characters are on different terrains, they have to succeed at the terrain that they're in. So again, both players can move up. And at the end of every round, all the cards you played actually go away. So it doesn't have the problem of, oh, my opponent's just played a big beefy card. I can't deal with it. I might as well concede. That big beefy card helped them for that round, but then it goes away. It goes to the reserve so they could play it again. But cards that come out of the reserve get this like fleeting token, which means when they go away, they're actually gone for good. So each card that you play, you can use a maximum of 2 times, barring some other special things. Gameplay is very easy. You've got mana. You're going to basically use a card every round. You start with 3. You can use any card in your hand, place it down to add another mana. And cards have a cost. They have a cost to play them from your hand, and they have a cost to play them from the reserve. They might be different. A card may be more powerful in the reserve. It may be less powerful in the reserve, and the cost of the card reflects that. So there's a really interesting balance in the game, a really interesting tempo where you're playing cards out. Some cards you want to get them to the reserve. There are spells and things that might push a card out of the main zone and into the reserve, or get rid of cards that a player has in their reserve, things like that. As I was mentioning before, the starter decks feel exceedingly balanced. A lot of CCGs, their starter decks are meant to give you a flavor of that color or that style, but they're not very well balanced. I have played dozens of games with just the starter decks and have loved it. Give you an example. This game that's set up here, we've got the red deck. Red deck, this particular hero gets to bring out a character every other turn. If this hero is a start player, a big beefy character named Buddha comes out as his companion, and you're just going to have to deal with that. If you're the opponent, you know every other turn that's going to come out. Whereas this character has a lot of these tokens, these brass bug tokens, also pretty powerful. And they can come out for free when this character plays a landmark. Those are cards that sort of stay in play. They're like locations, things like that. A lot of interesting. There's a magic-oriented character that can pass their turn because going second, seeing what your opponent does is very important in this game. There's characters that bring out lots of tokens. I've just had a blast with it. I think it's really cool. And, I haven't even had to open a booster pack in order to have fun with this game. So that's Altered. Check it out. It's beautiful. It's awesome. I'm Kylie at Games Unlimited. Go unbox some fun.